The management of the Acme Rocket Company wants to increase the productivity of its workers. The current average productivity is 76. A random group of 50 workers is chosen to take a workshop that claims to increase average productivity. Based on the results of the experiment, management will decide whether to make the workshop mandatory, which will be an expensive endeavor. After the workshop, the average productivity among the group of 50 was 80, with a standard deviation of 2.3. Number 1. State the null and alternative hypotheses to test the workshop's claim. So the workshop claims that average productivity, or that productivity increases. So we want to test the claim that the new productivity is greater than 76. So we use, for the null hypothesis, we use that the average is still 76. And for the alternative hypothesis, we use that it has increased. In other words, that the average productivity is greater than 76. Number 2, describe what type 1 and type 2 errors are in the words of the problem. So a type 1 error means that you conclude that the null hypothesis is false even though it's true. So here in number 2, a type 1 error would mean that we conclude that the workshop doesn't help even though it really does. So we conclude that the workshop does not improve productivity even though it really does. It actually does. And a type 2 error is sort of the opposite. Type 2 means we reject the claim even though we shouldn't. No, the other way around. We accept the claim, so we conclude that the workshop is helpful, does improve productivity, even though it really doesn't. Okay, so number 3, describe what the consequences of making each error are in the words of the problem. So in a type 1 error, what's going to happen if we make this error is the Acme Rocket Company will not invest in the workshop even though it's helpful. So they'll fail. The Acme Rocket Company will fail to take advantage of a good workshop. But they won't waste any money. Will fail to take advantage of a useful workshop. A type 2 error, if we make a type 2 error, that means the Acme Rocket Company is going to conclude that the workshop does improve productivity, so they're going to invest a lot of money in it even though it doesn't work. So a type 2 error, the company will waste a lot of money on a workshop that's not helpful. Will waste a lot of money on a workshop that is not helpful. So, in the eyes of the company, that's probably what they want to avoid the most. Okay, number 4. What information other than the hypotheses is needed from this paragraph in order to run the test? Well, we're running a test of the averages, so we need a sample average, a sample standard deviation, and a sample size. So we need to know all about the sample. And so if we go and collect that information, the sample size was 50. Sample size was 50, average 80, sample mean 80, and sample standard deviation of 2.3. So sample size was 80. Nope. Sample average was 80. Sample size was 50. And the sample standard deviation was 2.3.